late night high quality printing. It's currently printing the lid and bottom page, which is sheet 6 of 7. Going really, really slow, but I think, oh, look at that. Nice. If there have been any subscribers who have been wondering, where is the Drift Trike? Why haven't we seen a part 1 yet? Well, I can finally answer the question. There it is. So, I mean, I've been working on this frame over the summer, and to get it done, I needed a welder to weld the frame up for me because, well, I have no welding experience, and I've been really busy at my job to get some footage, and all the work was being done at work. I didn't want to show anything that was not related to the project itself. But yeah, this is it, and how it got to here. Well, here, just enjoy this little montage. Let's first talk about the frame design itself. The whole frame was TIG welded out of 1 1/4 inch mild steel square tubing, aside from the gusset installed on the upper neck of the trike and the motor mounting plate being made out of steel plating. The front fork came off of a Roadmaster Granite Peak mountain bicycle. I also replaced the default 26-inch wheel with a 20-inch BMX wheel because, as I found out later in trial and error, it allowed me to have more tire making contact to the ground when turning. I'm also using a 1x36-inch live axle kit with pillow block bearings and 6-inch go-kart wheels to accommodate to 11x66 tires. The sleeves are 10-inch PVC that is cut to 4-inch length. I am also using number 40 chain with a 50-tooth sprocket on the axle and a 12-tooth sprocket on my gifted from Dad Predator 212cc engine. After submitting the plans to my metal fabrication shop, I went ahead and began prepping small components that went towards the construction of the trike, starting with the way the seat was going to mount by fabricating these L-shaped brackets that I cut. I mocked up with some spare square tubing with a clamp and stamped my holes on the seat that I bought off Amazon. And at last, there was some official progress being made on the trike frame. I got called in to ask about the fork tube placement, and I was amazed at these beginning results. A little time later, my boss sent me this image. It was time to begin. Day 1 began with fitting all the parts together. This is where I found my first flaw, however, in my initial design. With the 26-inch wheel initially raked at 40 degrees, if you were to steer this trike 90 degrees, the frame's gusset hit the floor. On day 2, with the flaw addressed to my welder, I went ahead and chopped off the front fork and worked on setting up the engine. Initially, just looking at it and then installing the clutch and throttle return. I went ahead to also line up the rear wheel setup. Sadly, on day 3 though, and the only day I had left before leaving the company for college, I had to throw in the towel. I completely tightened down the rear axle and began experimenting with my welder on a new rake. Nothing, however, worked with the limited boundaries we had with the foot pegs getting in the way, and also raking at 53 degrees. However, there was hope. Before I left on my last day, one of my former co-workers, who had built a trike with the same company in the past, suggested I did a 20-inch wheel setup. While it looks ridiculously funny to look at first, I think he was onto something. Now the ride's gonna be a little bit bumpy because, you know, there's barely any suspension except for on the front fork, but, you know, rear wheels. This is what it feels like to ride just the soapbox, the Drift Trike. Whee! But it does pretty well. Not to mention I don't have any brakes because, you know, the bracket needs to be realigned. But yeah. However, there is something I did want to try with the Drift Trike before I send it off to my welder to fix up like the tack welds that I've discussed in the time lapse here. So what we got here is a fork that I've gotten from a parts bike, and I just want to experiment to see if like this shorter fork, I don't know if it's shorter than the other fork or not, but I'll find out here in this weekend. And I just wanted to see if this would be do any better with the stress that the other forks have with a 26-inch wheel. And if it doesn't do well with a 26-inch wheel, I'll go back to a 20-inch wheel and maybe still use this fork, because actually this is a pretty nice fork. So I'll catch you then. Okay, now we're at my house. I brought the fork over here, I did a little bit of a visual comparison, and it looks like it's roughly the same size as the current fork we have on here. But I'm going to go ahead and do the fork swap anyway, and just see what happens. I'll catch you in a little bit. So unfortunately, this fork did not really work out for the Drift Trike here. The reason being, while it is meant for a 26-inch wheel, this piece right here at the top doesn't go through the current tube that holds the fork in place. It doesn't go through all the way. This piece right here is too short. So what I could do is like get the tubular piece from the other bike and then weld it onto there. But this is from a parts bike, and the parts bike has already been dumped in the dumpster. So I mean, this was kind of a one-time shot. So we'll maybe save this for, not for Harley, because I'm pretty sure it's not going to work on that either. Maybe just put it on my other mountain bike at my college here. There will be a life update on that too, by the way, hopefully after this video. So yeah, it's a bummer, but you know, it didn't hurt to try. So tomorrow we'll be going to cut this bracket similar to this one on the other fork that was originally mounted. And actually, I can just quickly demonstrate what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. So this is normally how the fork mounts to the the chair won't stop spinning. Stop. Thank you. So this is how normally the fork is mounted on the other Drift Trike. There is a welded on bracket that loops around the wheel here, and then there's your V brakes, or you can use a caliper brake instead. Unfortunately, when you have a 20-inch wheel, let's say that the rim is down here, and oh, hi, thanks for making a cameo appearance. Anyway, so these won't be able to stop the tire down here, as you probably saw in the time lapse earlier. So what we're going to do is we're going to use an angle grinder to cut off the welds of this bracket and this bracket on the other fork. And we're basically just going to slide this down and then re-weld it back on. And then to weld it back on, I'll have to grind the fork down in this area to get it to bare metal, and then so you have an easier weld. And yeah, so I guess we'll just go from there. Alright, so it's the next day. It's kind of cloudy out here, but I went ahead and did what I said yesterday, and I completely cut off this brake bracket. So originally used to mount up somewhere right about here. And now, when I visit my welder, we can probably have it about just there, so the brakes can make contact with that rim. And then, of course, it'll all work out in the end. I still think this is like stupidly funny. I mean, we're using a 20-inch wheel on a 26-inch wheel recommended fork. And also last night I went ahead and made it so the fork is pointing that way and the steering wheel is pointing this way. I can reach it. I can reach the handlebars if they were the other way around, but this is a little bit better, and also better twist throttle. I'm gonna try and see if I can use this as my throttle. If not, maybe I can use that. And then this is for the front brake. We may attach a rear brake later, and thankfully I assume that I can maybe just put whatever brake piece it is here, drill some holes into the frame, and then put the disc brake right here. Or actually, I don't know if a drum brake will work. I need to actually look into like how that would work to put a rear brake on here, if you have any suggestions, please let me know. This is all learning experience for me. And also what I did is I went ahead and mocked up the weldments for where the seat's going to go, because as you can see under here, those brackets from the laps earlier, that's them right here. I was originally going to plan on bolting them down to the frame, but my drill sucks. I mean, if I were to like get one of these down, and my battery would be dead, and I don't want to wait consecutive amounts of time when it could just be more sturdier if we actually welded to the frame itself. So yeah, I could still have access to the bolts as clear is shown here. It just means I have to get under here to remove the seat and what have you. And then, so what I did, because this comes right off, because like I said, it's not welded, I went ahead and I ground it down with my angle grinder. I ground down those the pieces where these brackets were hanging. I just did it a little bit here. I'm not the best with the grind wheel, but you know what, it's, my welder can help me out there. And of course I did the same thing over here. And surprisingly, if this wheel wasn't here, these move, and that's scary. But we'll go ahead and get that fixed, and we'll just go from there, I guess. There's nothing else that I can really do at this time until I see my welder to completely weld up our little tag welds there and there. So he's gonna fully weld this down to the tubular piece here, and then yeah. So, yeah, let's just go from there. Right, it is a week later, and now we are taking our trike to where I got this thing welded up, because now we are going to take care of the tack welds, and also hopefully get the seat welded on and everything. And after that, I think that's where I'm going to call the episode, because I'm trying to have next episode showcasing this thing running. And then from there, maybe get the paint and what have you. So let's get driving. Okay, so it's been after the time that I've spent with my welder, and as you can hopefully see here, the trike frame is welded up and complete. The last thing I think I really need to do is just put the engine on it, and then tension up the chain, connect it to the sprocket, put some oil and gas in it, and send it. So I'm gonna possibly do that off camera, because I don't have a cameraman, and I just like working better off camera, and I like doing progress updates and everything. So if you guys are enjoying the build series, or if you have any suggestions of how I can improve it, just go ahead and go down in the comment section, tell me what you think so far. Always hit that thumbs up and the subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye. At this rate, I can't really do much, but because I don't have a chain breaker tool yet. That's the last thing we need, and this thing's running. But speaking of which, I want to hear the engine run. So I put oil in it, put gas in it. I had to clean up a little bit, but I just hope it works. So, step one, turn it on. Let's see. Fuel on. Choke, set the start, and then we'll set it to run. Here it goes. Nice! Ah, darn it. Alright, well, we gotta work with it. Nice.